Oh, gotta watch out. Don't want to get flagged for playing Tom Petty. How's everyone doing? Type in the chat who you are, where you're at. And if you're a Patreon member, appreciate you being in my community. And thanks in general for just tuning in on this music theory as applied to the guitar lesson today. We're going to talk about suspended harmony, aka sus chords. These are not sus chords as in the modern lingo today, if you know what I'm saying. These are beautiful, beautiful chords that I hope to explain for you if you don't already know about sus chords and sus harmony. So this is a really good primer lesson today. I'll wait a little bit and see who's here. So just type in the chat and do this if you are enjoying the live streams. I also want to mention if you are on Patreon and watching this, because the link is on there, it's embedded. Make sure you click so it takes you to YouTube and not Patreon, because I can't see your comments and it doesn't show me how many people are watching, which affects the duration of these videos. Meaning, if I don't see anybody watching, then they end up being very, very short video lessons. But there's more people that tune in, then I expand it and share with you all of my favorite secrets. And I was just doing this little trick here. It's one of my favorite little secrets. I know it looks kind of funny, huh? The fingering of it. Because it usually, if you play a G triad like this, okay, and then you add the sus4, and if I said sus2, you're going to do this. See what I mean? Major, sus2, minor, sus4, sus2. So I like this fingering quite a bit. Again, sometimes you're gonna come up with fingerings, little unorthodox fingerings that you typically not do, but it's because you know you're going to play certain licks and or chord melody phrases, chordal ideas. Latchland, good to see you again. Glad to see your presence, and I'm glad you're so vocal on Patreon lately. Yukon, welcome back again. Of course, good to see you. Let's see if any others will be tuning in today for this primer on sus chords. I love sus chords. I love sharing this topic. We're going to go through all the triad shapes and go through all the sus chords. We're going to do some sus arpeggios as well, and we could try it out on different chord progressions and different songs. But again, I want to see if there's any others interested in this topic. So feel free to type in the chat if you're here, so I know the interest level on sus harmony. It's a little sus. I'm going to get a sound slice going here as well, so I could show you on the paper, on the sheet music and tabs, so you can see the fingerings. This will of course be available on Patreon. It's where I post all of my lessons. I know I don't need to keep saying that because I know many of you know, and many of you are here on Patreon, but Patreon there is over 5,000. I think it's getting close to 5,000, maybe 400 now. I'd have to look. Posts and lessons, tabs, worksheets, videos, sound slice. That's where everything goes for my last 7 years of being on Patreon. New lessons are posted daily. Materials, the stuff that I'm working on, stuff that I work on with private students and with you, and comments, questions, just try to share whatever I know. So I'm going to load up I'm going to create a new Triad study. This is going to be a little process too, so I could show you how to do this if Triad sus chords are new for you. And I'm going to probably share a few little tips and tricks and some things that you might not have known, I hope at least. So again, type in the comment, please, if you are watching this and who you are and where you're at. There's some good studies here. I'm just looking at my Triad stuff right now. That's a good one too. So I'm going to create a brand new study here. Let me just go ahead and do this. This way I can show you on the paper what we're doing with triads. Okay, this one's pretty. I'm starting, and I'll put this in the comments as well, so you can grab this study. It's a good one. It's just my Triad complete study here. But this one today, as I mentioned, today's lesson is going to be sus chords, sus harmony, which you got to know your triads, as I'm going to talk about right now. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm doing here. Actually, I'll just give you a little overview first too. Then we'll do it together on paper. All right. Hey, Tom just joined in. Sweet. 2-5 it. You're funny. A sus does have a 2 and a 5. It can also have a 4. Sus chords are so beautiful, and they could be superimposed over other structures. That's one aspect I really love. So again, I think we have to talk about what a sus chord is. So I'm just going to show you by doing this. The good old D shape, right? That's the triad here. We do have the open D if you want the open D string. Hopefully I'm in tune. And this is second inversion here because of the 5th is the lowest note. 5th, root, 3rd. So do this with me. Grab your guitar. I'll give you a second to grab your guitars. Do the D major triad. Now let's make it minor. This will be all on that worksheet I'll show you in a sec. Major. See how the fingering, you would typically do this? And then when I say minor, you would do this. But you wouldn't do major like this. Most people say don't do that. That's not the right fingering. But maybe you want to go, you know what I'm saying, in this. And you can't do it when you're doing it like this. So again, sometimes you're going to have some interesting unorthodox fingerings. A little bluesy lick. Move it to the 4 chord, the G. A. Flat. A bluesy sound there. So again, I'm just demonstrating that you're going to come up with some really cool ideas, some cool licks, cool sounds by experimenting. And I really suggest that. And that's one of the most beautiful things you can do on the guitar. So definitely take your time and experiment. Okay, hopefully you're grabbing your guitars. D major, D minor. Okay, you flat the 3 to make it minor. You got to know your major triads first. So here's D major, here's D major, here's D major. You want to know D major? Know all your inversions. That's already a given. But if you don't know your major, minor, and diminished and augmented triads, got to start there. So I don't have it in the link in the description, but I'm going to add it to the post. So if you want to grab it for free the Triad, my complete studies, major, minor, diminished, augmented on all 6 strings. I call it the complete study. It'll be on the link that I'll add on to this. Whether this stays on YouTube, I'm not sure. It might just go straight to Patreon and in the YouTube Tracy Kim membership. So we'll see. So major, ready? We're going to go through this study. So make sure you grab your guitar, because this will show you what you need to make sure you know. Major. So make notes if you don't know it. Minor, major, minor. D major. This is second inversion. Diminish. Okay, I flatted the 5th. Notice the shape here. I love showing this. I love that. That's flat 3 and flat 5 sliding into the major. So the diminish is a really sweet effect. It kind of gives it a little bluesy quality, especially when you resolve it to the major. Same thing here. Here's major, diminish, major, little tension, major. And Django Reinhardt used that. It's a beautiful effect. So again, major, minor, diminished, back to major. Ready? This is where we go sus4, sus2. Okay, so what I'm demonstrating here is we got to know where the 3rd is. So from the 3rd degree of the major triad, we go up a half step, and that's called a sus4, suspended 4. So the 4th is replacing the 3rd. Can you guys hear that okay? My volume all right? And then we go to the major. Or because it's a suspended chord, it has no 3rd, it could go to the minor. So check this out. sus4, minor. Okay, so you can mix and match. Just the sus4 alone doesn't tell us whether the chord is major or minor. Same thing with the sus2. Here's D major. Belfast boxing and blues. Thanks, man. So here's D major. D sus2. You got to go a whole step. It's just a 2nd degree of the major from the major scale. If you're wondering, where's that 4th degree? It's just 3 to 4 is a half step in the major scale. So that's why I went like this. I got to be careful not to play Tom Petty. So, and then here's D sus2. Okay. Embrace that sus. Here's D minor. You can mix and match. sus2, that was minor. sus4, major, minor, sus2, sus4. Tell me what to resolve it in the comments. Someone, you want me to resolve it to major or minor? What do you want? I'm feeling minor. Tom says major after I play minor. You get to have the cross, that's called the cross relation. If one chord is playing minor and the other is playing major, you have both the major and the minor 3rd. We call it the blues, but that's technically it's a cross relation here. I'll do a loop. Here's major, ready? Yeah. Yeah, really good. That's major and minor at the same time, like this. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like it. It's just it could be biting, and there's a time for that cross relationship. Okay, that's the major 3rd and the minor 3rd played together. Cross relations. Okay, so back to this. I'm going to show you guys again how to create the sus chords and show you some tips and tricks with that again. So like even that loop here, if you heard this, that's minor, right? So I could do a sus up here. sus4. And there you go. Instant Radiohead song, right? So you take a major chord or minor chord and you suss it out with another guitar, some textures, you mix and match all of these sounds together. Beautiful textures, two guitars. Try it out. If one person is playing major, you can play sus2, sus4. Give it a try. The other person's playing if you play minor chord, same thing. That's what I'm saying is program yourself so you learn and master these sus chords. You get some really interesting results by not playing the third. Okay, same for leads too. So you can try to learn these sus triads all over the fretboard. It will help you connect. And then when you have a progression, and again, this is what I like to do when I'm backing up a singer-songwriter. They're playing C major, I play C sus2. They play A minor, I play A sus4. They're playing F major. And I'm also going to, because it's hard for me not to talk about add chords, it's a similar category, except when you add a 2 or a 4, that means you add it to the triad. So you'd actually have the third present. A suspended chord, by old school definition, a suspension, sus chord, suspicious. A sus chord is neither major nor minor, but often you'll hear it in this context where you will include it in the riff with the third, like this, with major third. I went 4, 3, 2, 3. Here it is in minor. We want to practice those concepts all over the fretboard, not just on the D shape. Here it is on A major. I'm just showing you the cowboy chords first. So you got to know again, where's that third degree? By the way, most of these shapes here, these cowboy chord shapes, there's only 1/3. There's usually 2 roots and 2 fifths and a third. Maybe on this bar chord here, we've got root, fifth, root, third, fifth, root. We got 3 roots and 2 fifths. So again, you got to make sure you know where the third is. So here's A major. My third's right here on the C sharp. I'm going to go to A sus4. So that means I go up a half step. A major. A sus2. I'm going to go from the 3 to the 2, which is a whole step down. And it's just very ambiguous. I like to end songs on that sus2 sometimes. Sometimes my band will go into the A minor chord, and I added the 9 on, add 9. But I would just do it on A sus2. You get some textures that way again, and that's something I recommend that you try out. It's a cool and easy way to get some hip textures while thinking simple still, especially when you start to layer these sounds and upper structures. Talking jazz language here. So let's get back to this A major. This is just a primer, you guys. This is just an introduction lesson on suspended harmony. Again, something I haven't really talked about that much besides my music theory lessons, which just kind of touched on it just to demonstrate. But this is a lot more in depth today. So I'm hoping that you grab your guitar and go through this so that you learn it well and you experiment and explore these sus chords. A major, ready? I'm going to quiz you. A sus4, A sus2, A minor. See how I refingered that quickly from the sus2 like this? I went to A minor. So now if I said A sus2 from here, I would just lift up this finger, my first finger, and my pinky kind of lifted too. I think they're kind of connected. A minor, A sus2, A sus4, A minor, A sus2, A sus4, A major, A minor, A sus4, A sus2. I said A sus4. I just played A sus2. A sus2, A sus4. And you might play A sus2 and say, Tracy, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, you can actually combine A sus2 and the 4 and get A sus2 4 chord if you want to. Okay, we'll talk more about that as well. The vocab, yeah, vocab. I'm big on vocab. being a music school nerd. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. And I don't know all the answers, but we can look it up on Wikipedia if we need to. There's some other really hip chords too that we'll talk about. Some kind of that don't even have names. I really actually don't think. There's some really neat things that we can do, like take a major triad and go to the sharp 4. And I call that basically a Lydian triad flavor. And there's some really fun exercises. It's just an overview too. Like I'll take the triads diatonic. There's a fancy name, diatonic. That means just in the key of G. And then we suss it out. We could do sus4 like this from the major, minor, minor, Lydian. Check that out. Isn't that pretty? 4. That's a 5 chord. Minor. Diminish. Kind of cool one too. And then this. So you could go diatonic. Susses. I'm actually resolving it to the diatonic chord. Listen to this one. I love that. In Countryland, there you go. Little pedal steel. So that's a good exercise. Just doing that diatonic through your triads, and then add the sus4. You could go 4-3. You could do all these little tricks. 4-3. You could go 2-3. Okay, or you could go 4-2-3 again. But you got to know these triads first. You know what I'm saying? So let's finish up this topic here. We got A major, A sus4, A sus2, A major, A minor. Now, if I want an A diminished, I would do this. If I want A augmented, I would do this. Okay, so again, we don't really need to worry about the diminished and the augmented in relationship to knowing your sus chords. So that's why we're just sticking with the major and minor. Okay, so let's go through the triads. I started you on the key on the D one. Let's continue to the next inversion. This is actually called a root position because the lowest note is the root. So we got 3 notes: D major, D F sharp A, D minor, and D diminished. By the way, grab the free worksheet and then D augmented. The free worksheet, I'm assuming these are people watching this after it's already happened. It'll be on the link to this lesson that's posted on Patreon. But it's also going to be free for the time being. So we got A, D major, minor, diminish, major, augmented, sharp to 5 if you didn't know. And again, here, I'll just pop this up. I've got this all written here. I think I have it written in G though, however, so it doesn't matter. Type in the comments, by the way, so I know if who's watching. If you like these lessons, let me know by doing that. Hit the like button and subscribe. I never say that, but like and subscribe. Triads. Man, I got too many windows open. Can't find anything here. Dead Space. That'd be a good name for a band. Dead Space. Dead Space music. It's like John Cage. It's just all silence. Oh, you guys know what I'm talking about? John Cage. 3 minutes and 11 seconds of just silence. That's the name of his piece. That the sheet music is just nothing. There's nothing on the sheet music. That's John Cage's composition. It might be not 3 minutes and 11 seconds. I don't know. 3:11. But basically, the musicians sit there on the stand. It can be written for piano, string quartet, and they just sit for 3 minutes and however long they're supposed to sit. That's the whole song. Groundbreaking, and the whole idea is to make the audience really uncomfortable and to listen to the other auxiliary noise, if you know what I'm talking about, other auxiliary sounds around them. It's a brilliant concept. John Cage. I think that was written in the 60s or something. Triad study. So if you don't grab this PDF, you're going to want to have this and master your triads. So I'm right now, this is, this is all written on G. Okay. And I'm going to do the susses after this too, but this will be on Patreon a little bit later. I'm just showing you how to do it right now. But this is on all 6 strings. So it's not too hard. You can definitely get it. Major, minor, diminished, augmented. Those are your 4 main types of triads. And I got the little lingo here: first inversion, second inversion, rear position. Okay. And then it goes to the next string. So I'm not going to this right now. We don't need to do that, but it's available. So here we go. We've got the D major, D minor, D diminished, D major, and D aug. The augmented is the only triad that you get to slide around at equal distance as 4 frets, 2 whole steps, and you get the inversion of it. That's the only one. So sweet. Similar to the diminished 7 trick, where you could take a diminished 7 and slide it every 3 frets, and you get the inversion of it. You can do that with the diminished, but there's not actually the same 3 notes, but you get 4 notes collectively if you do that. Joe Mama, welcome back. Awesome. The crew is coming back. I love it. So here we go. Well, now we've got the D major here. Okay, don't watch this video without grabbing your guitar, you guys, unless you're unable to play right now for a certain reason. Major, minor, is all off D, diminished. And the augmented, like I said, is going to be the same as the first shape. Sharp 5. Okay, ready? Major, check this out. sus4. What are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, where's my 3rd at? Exactly, right here. Beautiful. sus2. Oh, gotta be careful. Don't play Tom Petty, Tracy. Oh, so now it's starting to sound a little bit like The Edge. Who's The Edge? You guys know who The Edge is? Anybody? Yes. But what's his real name? That's what I was getting at. That's a sus4. Here's D. Oh, I went to the next inversion. Sorry, let's finish this one. D major, D sus4, D sus2, and back to major. I love the hammer-ons. I love the slides. Sounds a little bit James Taylory as well. Little hammers. Okay, so again, the other guitar, if you're jamming with a singer-songwriter and backing up somebody, and they're just doing some pretty finger picking. I love it. So that's how you create some really beautiful textures, guitar textures, one guitar is doing one thing, the other guitar is doing the other, usually in a different position, by the way. Up high, spread it out so you get some orchestration. Don't just keep it all in the same position, even though you get some nice cross relations or some nice crunches if you're in the same position. You can do stuff like that. And I'll show you some more demonstrations. These are some things you can practice with another guitar player or your loop pedal, or just if you're a recording enthusiast, you can try it out on some home recordings too, of course. sus4, sus2, major. Okay, I love those. Here is the next shape. Oh, and then again, I kind of showed this earlier. If you missed it earlier, but then down here, and then up here, we got the whole fretboard on the cupboard. And check this out. Or mix and match. No whammy. It's okay. Wow, wow, wow. So here's the last shape using the top three strings. D major, D minor. Got to do this first, sorry. D diminished, D augmented. And yes, that augmented is the same, 4 frets. Same inversion. It's the only triad that it's the same shape when you invert it. Okay, it's the same distance from one note to the next. So let's practice. D major, D minor, D sus2, D sus4. So again, the third degree is on the third string, so you got to keep track of that. sus4, major. Practice with me. sus2. Oops. What the? Sorry, last time I was trying to read here. That's triad chart. It's helpful. Yeah. Check that out for sure. But that's what I'm saying is I'm going to write out the sus chords just like that. But right now, that's just a lesson on how to do it. Minor, sus2, 3, sus4. Okay. So I'm gonna we can again a sus chord. If you're just joining us, the beautiful thing about a sus chord is neither major nor minor. So you can have a nice little progression and try out these sus chords, and they actually can have 2 different names. I don't know. Some of you probably already know that, right? Like this is D. This could be here's a G chord first of all. sus2, G major triad, sus2. Well, here's a D major. Here's D sus4. G sus2 or D sus4. What do you call it? It really would depend on what the bass does. And just for fun, even though this is a D, let's see. Check this out. This is really cool. Let me clear my loop. It's kind of a unique thing too. Shh. Let me try that again. Let me see if I come out. Major, minor, major, minor. Remember, a sus chord is neither major nor minor. So cool, so hip. So you could be singing major to minor if you want, or in the bass, get some really cool. I know, so fun to experiment. Okay, so again, we've got the major to minor. And again, I really just recommend that you take in any basic chord progression and you practice sussing it out. So let's take a 1-4-5 progression here in the key of C. We go C major, C sus2, and if I said go to F major, the 4 chord, here's F sus4, and G major, this is G sus2. So we might come up with a really neat riff. Joe Mama, root 5th 9, is that called a sus? Well, I don't call it a 9, I'd call it a 2. So yeah, I'd call it a sus2. So here's the deal with the 9. If you have a third, then you can call it an add 9. If you have a 1-3-5, the triad, and then the 9. And the 9 is just a 2, but it's technically above an octave. Oh, Joe Mom, I know what you're going to say. You're saying this. Right? This chord. Exactly. So yeah, those are all sus2 chords, but the 2 is displaced an octave higher as a 9. But when you hear this chord, I don't want to get flagged on this, by the way. That's so pretty. That's an add 9. Here's major. Here's add 9. I'm taking my 8, and the 8 is going up a whole step to the 9, which is really just a 2, but because it's above the octave, it's now supposed to be called a 9. Sus. Of course, on jazz, we use a lot of these 9 sus4s and stuff like that too. Basically, again, when you're using sus chords, there's no third. If you have a third present, that's when you call it an add chord. Okay, an add 4, an add 9, an add 2, and now you know the difference from the add 2 and the add 9. So this is one of the most popular chords in pop rock music. We call that C add 9, not C add 2. Here's a regular C. Here's C add 9. So again, I'm taking the 8, the octave, and going up a whole step. But oftentimes I'm refingering it like this, just to show you 2 different fingerings. It's kind of sunny back here. And then I'm adding the 5th on top as a layer. That's not a sus. Now, if I did this, if I got rid of my 3rd here, did an open string, now it's a sus. Sus4. These are on the C chord. Major, minor. This is with a 9. Pretty epic. Is that sweet? That's a C minor add 9. C add 9. C minor add 9. C sus 2. C sus 4. Okay. Oh, with this, actually got to be careful. C sus 4 with the 2. There's a 2 in there as well. There's just no third. But now let's check this out. This is going to be kind of cool. We've got the 3rd on the top string. Wow, I like that too. Listen to that. We got the root, got the 4, got the 5, got the 2. Actually, it's a 9 now. See, it's up an octave. And then the 3. So we got 1, we got the 2, we got the 3, we got the 4, we got the 5. We just don't have the 6 or the 7. But that's what if you're a creative arranger, orchestrator, or songwriter, your voice might be singing those 2 notes. Da-da, da-da, da-da. They have the whole scale. Okay, so again, be creative with your chords. The more knowledge you have, the better. Don't let anyone tell you that if otherwise. I mean, I'm not trying to say you can't create a lot of music with just the basics, but I also do recommend exploring, and you're going to have a lifelong journey of exploring the really important basic things, and all these small things just become more beautiful. Sus chords, the combination of the sus chords. Again, if you missed it earlier, we can grab A sus 2, A sus 2. On top of it, I'm gonna play major sus 4. Yeah, this. But I could also play minor. This opens up a lot of new ideas. Minor. Cross relation. Do I want to try that? Sure. Lydian. Minor. Also starts to sound like Nick Drake a little bit too. You all know who Nick Drake is? If not, check out his music. Really beautiful textures. Sus 2 and 4 chord combines both the 2 and the 4. No thirds still, by the way. Okay. So you have to have 4 notes. So let's do that together here. Let's take this shape here on A. Sometimes the fingering might be a little bit tricky, but here comes the thirds right here, going to the 4, and I've got the root here. It's a 4-note shape, as I mentioned, and here's the 2. That's a sus 2, sus 4. And again, that's a 9, but it's still the same group of notes. So again, if the band, say I'm going to play a bossa nova groove, maybe playing an A major 7, A minor. I could do this sus 2, sus 4. So here's A major, sus the 4, and get the 2, then here it is as an arpeggio. 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 5, 1, 2. Let me show you some arpeggios, some sus arpeggios, since we're at it. Here it is on G. You probably see it on my fretboard a little bit better. Here's G. Here's our favorite progression in the world. Right? So 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Here's a sus 2. What did I say? Here's a sus 4 arpeggio. It could also be a sus 2, remember, depending on how you invert it. So 1, this is on G, G sus 4. Ready? 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. It's easier going ascending than descending. So do this with me. G, C, and then instead of moving your finger here, you could do that, but I'm adding on like this. Then that's a G sus 4. Here it is, up an octave. Again, that could be major, that could be minor. Here it is on A. So again, your improvisation, you might think texturally like that. You might think about, like, I want to create these sus chords while the band's playing major to minor. It's pretty fun. You can think chordally and with your leads. So let's do that again. G sus 4 arpeggio, 1, 4, 5. Octave higher, 1, 4, 5. Use this diagonal method, 1, 4, 5. The PDF will be available exclusively on Patreon. Now let's do a G sus2 arpeggio. So again, no third. So we have this. See what I mean? That can also be called a D sus4. This is G sus2. Do that again. 1, 2, 5. Say the formula. Got to know your intervals. Then take it up an octave. 1, 2, 5. Take it up another octave. 1, 2, 5. So this is really important that you know G, G, G. It's easy. And then you add, by the way, check this out, root fifth, root fifth, root fifth. It's very important to get these diagonal arpeggios, one of my favorite topics on Patreon. I've got a huge amount of diagonal studies. And you can do stuff like this. Or this. That was sus4. sus2. You do this stuff. That's minor 6 arpeggios. A lot of fun. Or get some pretty angular sounding arpeggios. Back to Yukon's question. sus2, sus4. That's a 4-note chord and a 4-note arpeggio. So think about the intervallic structure of it. 1, 2, 4, 5. Sounds kind of pentatonic-y, right? Sounds like I got rhythm even. So I'm going up 3 octaves. So here it is on that A major to A minor vamp. So that these sus chords, they don't care if it's major or minor. It works beautifully over. You just float through the changes. So again, think about that with your chords as well. So I'll do that one more time with you. G sus2, G sus4 arpeggio. It's a sus2, 4 arpeggio. We got both sus notes, but no third. G, A, C, D. Next octave. G, A, C, D. Next octave. G, A, C, D. And we can go backwards. It's a beautiful pattern on the guitar. And again, that could be over a G chord. It could be over G minor. It could be over G sus4, G sus2. It could be over G7. It could be over G7, G9 sus4. Okay. Well, hey, thanks for joining me today. Hope you guys enjoyed this little intro lesson to suspended chords, suspended harmony. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to do this, of course. And the PDF will be available on Patreon probably this weekend as I get around to getting a nice little study printed out for you or prepared for y'all. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time for the next live stream. Cheers.